Today we'll be covering the highlights of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter at the Universal Orlando Resort. Hello and welcome to the Let's Go to Disney podcast. I'm Oliver.
And I'm Lucy.
Today is Sunday, July 14th, and you're listening to episode 44, Navigating the Wizarding World of Harry Potter at Universal Orlando. Before we get into today's main topic, here's what's going on in the parks right now. Disney dropped the full lineup of every panel, presentation, and offering guests will be able to enjoy during this year's D23 event in California, which is being held August 9th through 11th. Some of the offerings will be Imagineering Behind the Dream, which is a pavilion that gives guests an inside look at the work the Imagineers are involved in. Bringing the worlds of Disney animation to life in Disney parks will be a look at the work Walt Disney Animation Studios is doing with Imagineers and the work that they're involved in together to bring the magic of the movies to the parks. Just to name a couple of the many experiences, this event always draws major excitement and crowds. Every other year it's held in California, and Disney will save big announcements for these events and share some blue sky projects as well. We've never been to the D23 events, but it's a bucket list thing for us, and we'll definitely be checking it out someday and hopefully in 2026. Jungle Cruise is closed for refurbishment beginning on August 26th. There's no set reopening date as of yet, so it's unclear how long it'll be closed for. It's likely to be closed for at least part of the fall season, and it's not clear if it'll be back in time for the holiday season as Jingle Cruise. Reminder that Peter Pan's Flight is also currently closed for refurbishment, and it's set to reopen later this summer. Country Bear Jamboree had some previews and a soft opening ahead of its official reopening on July 17th. The new show features the bears in new and fresh outfits, singing new and updated music like Try Everything from Zootopia, Kissed a Girl from The Little Mermaid, Fixer Upper from Frozen, among many others. Initial reactions are very positive, and we're looking forward to checking that out on our upcoming trip in September. We covered the seasonal parties in a recent episode, and Disney shared some details about the most popular attractions in Magic Kingdom. In previous years, Disney has operated a virtual queue for Tron during the parties like Mickey's Not So Scary and Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. But Disney revealed that at this year's parties, both Tron and Tiana's Bayou Adventure will operate a standby queue, so depending how long those queues get, you can ride them several times throughout the night. Universal Orlando shared some news about ticketing for their newest park, Epic Universe, opening in 2025. They said initially guests purchasing Epic Universe tickets will have to purchase multi-day tickets with a minimum of 3 days, which will allow for one single day at Epic Universe and will not include park hopping to Epic Universe. There won't be an option to purchase a single day Epic Universe ticket initially. This was shared specifically with third-party sellers of Universal tickets, so it may be that tickets offered directly from Universal Orlando could be different from that. Demand is sure to be huge for this park for the first few months at least, so only time will tell. We'll keep our ear to the ground for further details on that. With that said, let's get into today's main topic, and that's the Wizarding World of Harry Potter at the Universal Orlando Resort in Florida. This land is so immersive, and there's so much to see and do. You don't even have to be a Harry Potter fan to appreciate the land and what Universal was able to achieve. It's just really phenomenal. The level of detail and immersion is just so well executed. The space definitely rivals the best land over in the Disney parks like Pandora and Galaxy's Edge in our opinion. Now, if you're a Harry Potter fan, this is like a dream come true.
Absolutely.
Growing up with the books and the movies, we absolutely loved Harry Potter. And to be able to walk through the physical space and experience it in person, it's overwhelming, to be honest. And when you first experience it, it's like there are no words. It just kind of hits you.
Yeah, absolutely.
When we first visited in 2014, only the Hogsmeade side was open over in Islands of Adventure, and Diagon Alley and the train were still under construction. Even back then, we got emotional when we first walked in. And when we went back to Diagon Alley, when it was finished, we were able to ride the train between the two parks. It was just like the cherry on top. Like really no words for it at all. It's a dream come true for Harry Potter fans.
I couldn't agree more. So first things first, let's kick things off with how the world is split up. So essentially, you have 3 main pieces that make up the land with a 4th that's going to be added very soon, so in 2025. You have the Hogsmeade area, which is the Islands of Adventure Park. Here is where you're going to find the Hogwarts Castle, the actual castle. It is, you can't even describe it. There are no words to describe the Hogwarts Castle. You have to see it in person.
Yeah, and again, it's not that it's more impressive than Cinderella Castle, because I don't think that it is. No. But again, it's if you're a Harry Potter fan, seeing Hogwarts is just, again, it just is so well done. It's so cool to see in person.
Absolutely. And then over in the Universal Studios Florida Park is the Diagon Alley area of the park. And this is where you're going to find Gringotts and the dragon perched on the wizard bank. I'm sure everybody's seen videos of that before.
Yeah, agreed.
And then you have the train that connects the 2 different areas between the 2 parks. While it's not a whole area like the other 2, it's a separate experience. And you do need a park-to-park ticket to be able to hop from one park to the other. And then lastly, when Epic Universe opens in 2025, one of the lands that's going to open there is going to be the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Ministry of Magic. Very cool. Can't wait to see this one.
Yeah.
Universal has released details in stages, and so far we have further details on 4 of the 5 new lands coming to Universal's newest park. We are waiting for further details on the Ministry of Magic, but Universal previously gave a bit of detail and said that the land will make you have an experience of the 1920s Paris streets and the 1990s British Ministry of Magic. So think more Fantastic Beasts is what I'm thinking, like the vibe of those.
Yeah, like the Paris Ministry of Magic is from the Fantastic Beasts like series.
Yes.
But the British Ministry of Magic is from the movies. And like I think, again, if it's an interior space with like the black tiles and like the fireplaces, the fountain,
the elevators, maybe. You never
100%.
know.
Like, oh my God, they can do so much with it. I'm really stoked to see what it's going to be.
Absolutely. We've speculated on the podcast before, but we're really, really expecting and hoping that this space is going to be that black tile. Like that, I think if it's not, we will be a little bit disappointed.
Yeah, like I don't see, it's impossible that it's going to be anything else. If it's the
literally
British
called
Ministry
the Ministry of Magic.
it has to be. It has to be.
Absolutely. So we have a dream of what it could be like I said, and if they execute it like they did Hogsmeade and Diagon Alley, I think we're in for a real treat. Details have been coming fast and furious, so we fully expect that we're going to hear further details on that very soon.
Yeah, agreed 100%. Yeah. They've released like, it seems like every 2-3 weeks, details of all of the other 4 lands.
Yep.
So it's only a matter of time before we get like an overview of what this land is going to look like.
And they'll give it to us. I know they will.
Oh, of course they will. Of course they will. And they save the best for last. Like they know what they're doing.
Yeah, they do.
All right, so let's get into what most people will flock to first thing in the morning when they enter the park, and that's the attraction. So if you plan on heading to the parks early to get a few attractions done before the masses arrive, early access works a bit different at Universal than it does at Disney World. So at Disney, right, all 4 parks have 30 minutes of early entry for all resort guests at all 4 parks, right? Over at Universal, guests of select hotels have 1 hour of early park access, but it's either for Islands of Adventure or Universal Studios Florida, and not both. And most of the time, it seems to be at Islands of Adventure, which makes sense because the 2 most popular attractions in all of Universal, which are Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure and Velocicoaster, are over there, right? So if you qualify for early access and it's over at Islands of Adventure, we suggest heading to Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure. The wait time for this attraction will grow quickly and stay high throughout most of the day. It's also not on Express Pass.
Yes.
So meaning even if you did purchase, the Express Pass that lets you skip the line once or
multiple times.
Yeah, or unlimited that lets you skip multiple times. It doesn't matter. You won't be able to skip the line on that. So you're going to have to wait. So might as well hit it early in the morning.
Yes, because I do believe that Velocicoaster is now on
it, right?
It
is now, yeah, absolutely.
And it never used to be. So
no, it
that
wasn't
kind
when
of
it first
helps your
opened.
decision to where to go first.
Oh, agreed. It makes, like to us, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure is your only option that makes sense to best use your time.
Yeah, because you may only get to ride it the one time.
Yeah, exactly.
If it gets
with
way too busy.
With a low wait for
with
sure.
With a low wait, yeah. I mean, you can always wait again if you want to.
Yeah.
So if you don't qualify for early access or are less concerned about being the first on Hagrid's for the day, it's fun to actually enter the Wizarding World from the Universal Studios Florida side. That's the London side, and you're going to enter Diagon Alley, just like how Harry did in the first movie. They did a really, really good job with theming over here because from the outside, you can't actually see Diagon Alley until you cross into the Wizarding World and then you walk down the alley. So the main attraction on this side is the Escape from Gringotts attraction, and this one has a 42-inch height requirement. Unlike the rides at Disney, where you can actually take your bags and personal items on the rides with you, most of the attractions at Universal have you secure your bags in a locker before you ride. It can be a little bit chaotic because the spaces aren't very big, but once you get in, then it's really easy. You just put it in there, you go ride your ride, go get your stuff. So Escape from Gringotts is no different. You can take your items that are in your pocket, like your cell phone and whatnot, but other effects will have to be locked up.
Yeah, agreed 100%. When you enter the queue, you're going to walk into the lobby of Gringotts, and it's like, so well done. You'll see some animatronic goblins at the kind of different teller stations, including the head goblin at the high counter at the very far end of the lobby, just like in the movie, right? Like it's just
like in the movies.
And then as you continue on in the queue, you venture deeper into the bank. Back here, you'll see different things like vaults, portraits, goblin armor, wanted posters, newspaper articles, among other fun details. You're then going to board an elevator that'll take you down into the depths of Gringotts, where you'll catch your train car. If you're averse to elevators, don't worry. You don't actually go down anywhere. You're just let out on the other side. It's more of like
it's the experience.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to continue on until you eventually get to a winding staircase that actually takes you up, and that's where you're going to board the ride vehicles. The vehicle is much larger than the cart you see in the movies, and that's just to accommodate more guests, right? It's just what it is. You're secured with a lap bar and off you go. We won't spoil the details of the attraction, but know that it's a blend between a motion simulator with screen elements as well as a more traditional kind of like track system that'll take you, for some twists and turns, and it's really well done. And again, this attraction, like all things in the Wizarding World, if you're a Harry Potter fan, you're going to appreciate this even more.
I couldn't even fully appreciate this one the first time we rode it because it was just so much that I was trying to take in. So the second time we rode it, I was like, okay, that was amazing.
And honestly, like that's the beauty. We often get asked like, well, how can you guys keep going back? Why do you keep going back to Universal? Why do you keep going back to Disney? Exactly. And it's like, no, it's because every time we go, we pick up things we didn't before, or it's been a few months since you've been and you're like, oh, that's right, I forgot about that. Or like, oh, I never noticed that before, right? So it gives you a reason to come back and just experience it over and over again.
Absolutely. We're going back in September. It's going to be amazing. But what I'm really excited for when it comes to Universal is to finally take our kids there.
Yeah, 100%.
We've been waiting a little bit until our daughter Sophia was at a better height so that she wasn't missing out on every single ride, basically. And her brother got to do it all. So we're almost there. I cannot wait to take
2025.
them. Yeah, 2025,
2025
is the
happening.
year for our kids. Yep. So, okay, next up is the Hogwarts Express. Now, you may not think that this is actually a traditional attraction because it's a train, and at the root of it, it is a transportation method between the two parks, but the theming and the thought that went into this is so well done that it certainly feels and qualifies as an attraction in and of itself. We definitely put it in the attraction level.
Yep.
Plus, it actually has a queue and has Express Pass queue, so that qualifies, in our opinion, as well. That definitely makes it an attraction.
Yeah, I think like Universal officially qualifies it as an attraction.
And so do we. One quick thing to note as well is that this train can get quite a long wait time, especially in the early afternoon when most people are going to start hopping from one park to another. So something that to keep in mind there, really, just because it will get higher waits than in the morning or evening.
If you have an Express Pass, it can also be a bit of a wait, right? So like if the wait is like an hour, you're going to have less of a wait, but it's still going to be a wait.
They can only fill so many people up on the train, then it has to come back. So
exactly. So we've actually gone like out of the entrance, out of the front entrance and back through.
Just because we were ready to keep going.
Exactly. Like we just didn't want to wait. So we just walked through the whole thing. It takes about 20 minutes or so. If you walk at a good clip, it can be faster even.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the station on the Universal Florida side is actually outside of Diagon Alley. Across from Lombard's, you'll see King's Cross Station, which is the replica of King's Cross Station in London and works perfectly with the theming because that would be on the Muggle side of the land. Here, you're going to enter the station and it looks like a legitimate train station with screens that shows arrival times and departure times. I just love it. You're definitely like, oh, look at where, and we've actually been to King's Cross. So we can say in London, we've actually been to the real one. We can say it's legit.
Yep.
And side note, at the London one, they do have a platform 9 3/4. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So reminder that you do need park-to-park tickets to be able to board the train to head to Hogsmeade from platform 9 3/4. Now, we're not going to spoil how this is done, but you're going to pass through from the Muggle world to the Wizarding world into platform 9 3/4 from King's Cross Station in a way that's really magical. And again, if you love Harry Potter, you're going to absolutely love the way they did this. It is super magical.
Yeah. One like tidbit that we're going to share with you guys is that like when you're going through, you can't like take a picture of yourself. No. Like it's going to make sense when you experience it. But if you have somebody else in your party, you can have them like take a little video or photo of you going across. It's going to make sense when you're there.
If you just split up for memento, like the 5 minutes or whatever, you'll meet again like on the other side.
Like not even. Yeah. Like 20 seconds for the first person to go. But anyways, you're going to know what we're talking about when you go.
Absolutely. So when you come out on the other side, you're going to be at platform 9 3/4 and you're going to see the train, Hogwarts school trunks, owls, among many other fun features. Honestly, we were so giddy the first time we saw this, and we still are to this day. Like I said, we're going to go back there in September, and we're really, really looking forward to this. From here, you'll wait in separate sections, kind of like on the monorail, to board one of the train cars. So yeah, you'll just pick a gate that's empty or whatever. Or I can't remember if they're the ones that put you in the
I think the cast members, they kind of filter you in. So just
follow what they do, and then eventually you'll get on the train. There are screen elements inside the train cars themselves that make you feel like you're actually leaving London and arriving in Hogsmeade. And it definitely makes you feel like you're going faster and further than you actually are.
Yeah. Yeah. Having said that, if you're averse to like motion simulators, it's pretty tame. Like,
things, you could just kind of look down or close your eyes if something was feeling. And it's really not that bad at all.
No, agreed. All right, when you get out in Hogsmeade, you'll be in Islands of Adventure, right? So now you've switched parks and you're at the back of the park, like in Hogsmeade. On this side, there are actually 3 attractions to choose from with varying degrees of like thrill and theming. So first up is Flight of the Hippogriff. This is located right across from the Hogwarts Castle, and it's a pretty tame attraction all in all. It has a 36-inch height requirement, so it's good for littles as well as adults, right? And it's basically a kiddie or a good introductory coaster, right? I'd compare it to the Barnstormer over in Magic Kingdom.
That's a good comparison.
Yeah, exactly, right? Your littles should be fine to do this one, and if you don't have littles with you, it's definitely not a ride we would prioritize, right? You can definitely do it, and it's fun because there's certain cue elements or certain elements that you can only spot from riding the attraction. So we definitely don't miss it, but don't prioritize it.
Yeah.
So the ride essentially has you board wicker baskets and you're taking around Hagrid's hut and the pumpkin patch area. Like we said, pretty tame on the thrill factor and theming. Not as immersive as like the other 2 rides you're going to hear about shortly here, but it's still worth it.
Absolutely. Next up is Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey, which is a 48-inch height requirement. This attraction is the one that's going to take you inside the castle, and this is definitely one of our favorite rides across all of Orlando theme parks, Disney World included.
Yeah, agreed.
This one is pretty epic.
Top notch.
This does have Express Pass, so you can skip the standby queue, but we definitely actually suggest waiting in the standby queue at least one time during your visit because the queue itself for this attraction is absolutely amazing. I mean, you're going into the castle.
Agreed.
It's ridiculous.
Agreed. And you miss not all, but some of the elements going through the Express
Pass.
Pass.
Quite a bit, in my opinion, yeah. And honestly, because of all the different rides that have come up since the castle, the standby queue is never really that bad.
No, it's never. You're right. 100%.
Like unless it's like a really busy day, like in the summer. But if you're kind of not there on really busy time, the standby queue is no more than 15, 20 minutes, really.
Yeah, it can dip very low for sure. Yep.
So the level of detail and Easter eggs and immersive elements from the Wizarding World in this queue are so well done that we promise you don't want to miss out on them. You're going to see the gargoyle from Dumbledore's office, the portrait of the Fat Lady, the Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom, among many, many other things. We distinctly remember the first time we rode this back in 2014 when we were there with my parents. There was actually no Express Pass lane at the time because it was fairly new. Hagrid's wouldn't actually open up until several years later. So this castle attraction was widely popular and we were just floored with this attraction. Well, we're happy to report that a decade later, it still very much holds up. This attraction has you sitting on a ride vehicle that's kind of mounted on a large arm. It's hard to explain, but you'll get it once you ride it. It takes you through various sets and screens around the castle grounds. And of course, you'll see some bad guys as well as spiders, dementors. It's super immersive, well-themed, and it's actually pretty thrilling as well.
Yep.
It's definitely a must-do for your park day, and it should be prioritized for every guest, especially Harry Potter fans, but non-Harry Potter fans as well. And again, walking in the castle, seeing all the details, such a fun experience.
Yeah, no, agreed 100%. And like you said it best, like a decade ago, it wowed us. Still to this day, it still wows us. Like just to be able to walk through the castle, and the ride itself is so well done.
The ride is so fun.
Yeah, I know. And like you're right, the wait time has dipped because other things have opened that are more popular. But to me, this is still
classic.
Yeah, classic, one of the best.
Mm-hmm.
And last but certainly not least, and like we mean that, is Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. So this also has a 48-inch height requirement. This is a super well-themed and fun and thrilling attraction. Okay, so honestly, this is just so good. We love this one. Again, another top candidate for like best attraction in all of the Orlando area. This is the most recent of the Wizarding World rides to open. It opened in June of 2019, and it's extremely popular still to this day. It doesn't have Express Pass. It's only a standby queue. The attraction takes you around the castle grounds and into the Forbidden Forest, where you're going to spot rare creatures from the magical world. The ride vehicle is a motorbike with a sidecar and can accommodate 2 guests per ride vehicle, one on the motorcycle and one in the sidecar. I can see why most people would want to be seated on the motorbike, but don't worry, the ride is just as good in the sidecar. A good compromise is to commit to riding at least twice, and whoever you're partnered with can switch on the second ride through, right? So that's what Lucy and I do every time. We both get the chance to be on the motorbike. Yeah. The coaster features newer technology, so it's fast. It has multiple launches and some twists and turns, and we won't spoil much more than that, but it just makes this attraction like a really, really fun experience. It has kind of like those, they look like white fins almost, and that's what launches you fast. Like you'll see those on like Slinky Dog Dash. You'll see them on newer coaster rides.
Coaster,
and
that,
exactly. And it just like they launch you like super, super quick. And there's multiple of these. It's like super, super thrilling. It's good to get this one done first thing in the morning, like we said. Other good times our visit are peak meal times. So think like around lunch and dinner and right before park close. Don't miss this one. And it should definitely be a priority during your park day. One thing about it is if you're going to save it for the end of the day, like for park close, just be mindful that hopefully you have a second park day, because you don't want to leave it to the end of the day and like you're hanging all your hopes on that and then something happens and it closes.
Yeah, that'd be devastating.
And then you don't get to ride it. Yeah, 100%. That can be pretty disappointing. So don't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're actually going to quickly mention here as well, you board the Hogwarts Express from the Hogsmeade station, and then you'll board the train in the exact same way. However, the screen experience inside the train will be different on the ride to London back to King's Cross from Hogsmeade. So to experience both, we 100% suggest doing the train ride in both directions at least once during your visit, because it's fun.
Yeah, it's a different experience. So for Harry Potter fans, you're going to appreciate both ways. So we definitely suggest doing that. Yeah,
absolutely. So that's the rides that you'll find spread throughout the two parks. You'll notice pretty quickly, once you've had a chance to walk through the two sides, that there are actually more attractions on the Islands of Adventure side and more shopping and snack options on the Universal Florida side. But it's worth mentioning what's all on each side. So next up, we're actually going to cover food and snack locations.
Yep. So we're going to start in Hogsmeade. So here for quick service, you'll find the 3 broomsticks. They serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you can do mobile ordering as well. For breakfast, the offerings are very similar to what you're going to find over in the Leaky Cauldron on the Universal Florida side, but the lunch and dinner will be somewhat different. So for breakfast here, you can have a traditional English breakfast served with eggs, sausages, black pudding, English bacon, baked beans, grilled tomatoes, sauteed mushrooms, and potatoes. You have porridge, breakfast with fresh fruit, and a croissant. Continental breakfast with fruit, croissants, and jams. The pancake breakfast with sausage and croissant. The American breakfast with eggs, potatoes, bacon, sausage, and a croissant. They apparently like giving croissants here.
They do.
Yeah. They have a kids version of all of these meals with smaller portions, and we suggest that, right? So
absolutely.
It's usually the same thing, just a little bit less food, and that's perfect on a park day because then you can enjoy more snacks, right?
Absolutely.
You can pair that with a pumpkin juice, coffee, tea, milk, apple, or orange juice. One key point here is that with breakfast, you can have a butterbeer. And butterbeer is usually pretty expensive, whether you have it like frozen, hot, or cold. So you can pair that with your breakfast and not...
Saves you a bit.
Yeah. It does. It saves you some money. So that's a pro tip there. For lunch and dinner, there's the Great Feast, which is a large platter that serves 4 people. There's rotisserie chicken, spare ribs, corn on the cob, roasted potatoes, and fresh veggies. You then have individual chicken or spare rib platters, fish and chips, shepherd's pie, beef pasties, mushroom pie, as well as some other salad and soup options. For kids, there's fish and chips, chicken fingers, chicken legs, or mac and cheese. For dessert, there's a potted cream, butterbeer, or more traditional flavors of ice cream, apple pie, or chocolate trifle. The fish and chips here are really good as over in Epcot at the county shop there in Epcot.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And for drinks, they have butterbeer served hot, cold, or frozen, like we said, pumpkin fizz, gilly water, pumpkin juice, cider lemonade, and iced tea. So one thing to note here is there's no traditional sodas and similar products in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. So you're not going to find like Coke, Pepsi, Sprite.
They keep it original to what it is.
They keep it themed to the land, right?
I'll also say about butterbeer, I love it frozen.
Yeah, frozen is the best.
That's just my favorite way. I'm just saying.
It's good cold, but it's the best frozen.
I actually haven't tried it hot.
You're right. We have never tried hot, so I think we have to try it on our next trip because I've heard that it's pretty good.
Frozen is delicious.
Yep, agreed. They also have the themed draft beers here, like the Hogshead Brew, which you can only find here or in the Hogshead, which is in the back, the Dragon Scale, the Daisy Root Ale, or the Dark Forest Ale. And like I said, the Hogshead, which is at the back, you can find the classic Wizarding World drinks here as well, like butterbeer, pumpkin juice, as well as domestic and imported beers, the Hogshead Brew, among many other specialty drinks, wines, spirits, and mixed drinks. This is actually like a full service bar, so you can order different things and you can mix like the brews to do like a... you can do like a Strongbow mix with the Hogshead Brew to kind of do like a blend.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you have some different options back there.
All right. So over on the Universal Studios Florida side, there's a few more options, and we're going to start with the Leaky Cauldron. So the breakfast menu is nearly identical to the menu over at the 3 broomsticks. So it's pretty much interchangeable if you intend to have breakfast at one of these locations. For lunch and dinner, they have fish and chips, just like the 3 broomsticks, but several other different options. And in our opinion, it's a little bit better on this side as well. They have the beef, lamb, and Guinness stew, Hunter's chicken, cottage pie, bangers and mash, fisherman's pie, Scotch eggs, vegan curry, soup and salad, shepherd's pasty pie, and the ploughman's, which is essentially a charcuterie type of offering with cheese, bread, greens, pickles, salad, and pickled eggs. They also have the banger sandwich or the specialty chicken sandwich as well. And for the kids' menus, there's fish and chips, mac and cheese, or mini pie. On the dessert menu, they have the butterbeer potted cream, butterbeer and traditional ice cream, chocolate potted cream, sticky toffee pudding, and cranachan. For drinks, they also have many of the same options, but as well, they have the tongue-tying lemon squash, Otter's fizzy orange juice, peach tree fizzy tea, and fishy green ale. They also have the same specialty brews, except for that they have the Wizard's Brew instead of the Hogshead Brew.
Yeah, 100%. Over in this park, you're also going to find the Fountain of Fair Fortune. This is a drink kind of / snack location that has a few options. They serve cold or frozen butterbeer, pumpkin juice and fishy green ale, gilly water, fire whiskey, and a fire whiskey Strongbow cocktail blend kind of thing. They also have the Dragon Scale, Dark Forest Ale, Daisy Root Ale, and the Wizard's Brew, just like they do at the Leaky Cauldron, as well as Strongbow. They also have butterbeer flavored soft serve and chips here, and like for light bites.
Yeah.
Next is Eternal's Elixir of Refreshment. It's currently temporarily closed and it's not open very often. It's kind of like Tortuga Tavern over in Magic Kingdom. It just never seems to be open, right? But when it is, they have elixirs that are meant to be mixed with water that turn your drink into unique colors and flavors. So they have the Fire Protection Potion, the Babbling Beverage, the Draft of Peace, and the Elixir to induce euphoria. And last but certainly not least is Florian Fortescue's Ice Cream Parlor. So here you can indulge in soft serve or scooped ice cream with unique and fun flavors like butterbeer, Granny Smith, Earl Grey with lavender, chocolate chili, sticky toffee pudding, salted caramel blondie, which is my favorite, chocolate raspberry, strawberry and peanut butter, which is also really good, among many, many more. And they also serve refreshments like pumpkin juice, ciders, tea, and water. This is a must for us every trip. We won't always have a full-blown meal in the Wizarding World, but we will always stop for ice cream at Florian Fortescue's.
Absolutely. All right. Up next is the merchandise locations. So just like the food and snack options, there are many more merchandise locations on the Diagon Alley side than the Hogsmeade side. So let's start in Hogsmeade. You have Ollivanders here where you can actually buy replica wands from the franchise that are basically just for show, although they are very cool. And we actually own several of them.
Yeah, we've intended to like put them on a board with hooks and like with the name in that kind of Harry Potter font. Yeah, exactly. To show who it belongs to. We haven't done it yet.
We're just going to have to ask my dad to do that because he's really good with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, 100%. This will be like a project that we can all do together.
Absolutely. We highly recommend stopping here just to see the wands. They are actually really well made. And they actually also have an interactive wands area that we're going to touch on in a minute. They have Honeydukes as well on that side, which is, as you know, if you're a Harry Potter fan, a sweet shop. Here you can find themed sweet treats such as chocolate frogs, Bertie Bott's every flavor beans, and we mean every flavor, fizzing Whizbees, cauldron cakes, exploding bonbons, acid pops, among many, many, many other options. It is super bright and inviting in here, and it's definitely worth a stop.
Agreed, 100%. Over at Filch's Emporium of Confiscated Goods, you're going to find apparel like t-shirts, scarves, hats, sundries, jewelry, collectibles, kind of assorted.
The knickknacks.
Yeah, exactly like that. At Dervish and Bangies? I'm not 100% sure on the pronunciation there. I'm sorry. You'll find all sorts of goods again, like apparel, toys, memorabilia, uniforms, Quidditch-related items, magical replica items, among many, many other options. And there's also the Owl Post here, where you can find gifts and collectibles, souvenirs, and various stationery items like quills, seals. And the highlight here is you can actually send mail with the Hogsmeade postmark, which is pretty cool if you want to send a letter to your friends and family back home to brag about how much fun you're having in the Wizarding World. And that's it for the merchandise locations in this park. Again, there's few.
Yeah, there's few.
There's way more on the Universal Florida side.
Yeah, very true. So speaking of that, on the Universal Florida side, you're going to find many more locations. There's Ollivanders over here as well, where you're going to find wands as well as the interactive wand experience, which we're going to touch on in a minute. You'll also find Weasley's Wizard Wheezes, which is probably our favorite and best themed merchandise location in the Wizarding World.
Yep.
The inside is filled with bright orange and pink, like you'd expect from the movies, which we've all seen, and is filled with fun items that you'll recognize from the books and the movies. You're going to find stuff like Pygmy Puffs, Poo Pills, skiving snack boxes, puking pastils, among many, many more. It's fun to just walk around in here and look at all the great details, even if you're not going to buy anything. The space is quite large as well, so make sure to explore every nook and cranny.
Yeah, 100%. It's fun. And the outside has like
the tip. What you were expecting.
Yeah, exactly.
The Weasley brother.
With the hat. Yeah, exactly. Over here, there's also Wands by Grigorovich, where you're going to find some wands from different characters as well as interactive wands. At Wiseacres Wizarding Equipment, you're going to find a wide assortment of goods like apparel, jewelry, collectibles, souvenirs, gifts, and sundries. Like, it does get repetitive in like what's inside, like in terms of what's available to purchase, but each store has some fun elements to check out. So we definitely like suggest perusing, going through the different shops and seeing the different
Yeah, you can skip past the scarves for each house and stuff like that, but then usually there's other things as well.
The stores themselves are themed, you know what I mean? So there's stuff to look at. You're going to want to look around when you're in there. Over at Scribulus, you're going to find souvenirs and collectibles with a focus on stationary type items. Think like Owlpost over on the Hogsmeade side. So you're going to find like ink, inkwells, quills, parchment, and writing paper, envelopes, and postcards, among many other items. Over in Sugar Plum's Sweet Shop, you're going to find exactly what you expect with a lot of the same treats that are sold in Honeydukes over in Hogsmeade and souvenirs as well. Again, very bright, colorful in here, and it's worth a walkthrough. Over at Shutter Buttons, you can put on a set of wizard robes and create a moving portrait of yourself. So cast members are going to put you in front of a green screen and guide you through 12 scenes that will essentially become your moving portrait. You can then purchase your photo, like your moving photo, right, in a collectible tin to take home with you. We've never done this experience, but something to consider if that interests you.
Over at Quality Quidditch Supplies, you're going to find apparel and souvenirs with a heavy focus on Quidditch and the house teams, as well as Quidditch equipment such as snitches, bludgers, quaffles, among others. And then inside of the Magic Menagerie, you're going to find stuffed animals of various magical creatures, as well as apparel and other souvenirs. Stop to chat with the snake in the window. He may speak to you in Parseltongue.
Yeah, 100%.
A little tidbit there. At Madame Malkin's Robes for All Occasions, you can purchase replica wizard robes from each house, along with other themed apparel. They also have other collectibles and souvenirs as well. And then over at Globus Mundi, you're going to find travel-themed goods such as passport holders, luggage tags, along with other apparels and other souvenirs like pins and keychains.
Yeah, 100%. I think on our last trip, this is where we found our coasters, like the big heavy ones that we have in our living room.
I think that's right, yep.
So they have some different stuff in there. And at the Gringotts Money Exchange, you can actually speak with a goblin and exchange US currency for Gringotts banknotes. That's essentially like a gift card, right? So magically enough, $1 American is equal 1 galleon. So you don't have to worry about pesky conversion rates. You can use your wizard money to buy things in the Wizarding World and other locations at Universal Orlando Resort as well. So essentially works like money. Or
it's kind of fun too with the kids.
Yeah.
Like I'll be like, here you go. Here's your
100%.
wizarding money.
Yeah. And last but certainly not least is Borgin and Burke. So this location is located in the Nocturne Alley area of the park. You're actually going to see a sign for Nocturne Alley just like in the movies, and you'll enter a covered area that is purposefully kept dark to give it that ominous vibe, right? So it's really well done and it's fun to walk around in this space. You'll find some fun elements over here as well, and then you'll actually be able to walk into the Borgin and Burke's merchandise location, right? So the store is super, super well themed.
Yes,
you're going to find nods to dark wizards in here. Everything in here is like themed to the dark arts, essentially, right? So the store sells primarily like Death Eater, Deathly Hallows themed items, and they have apparel, accessories, jewelries, and a bunch of like dark collectible items. Again, you have to enter this area and check out the store for the experience alone. It's so well done, and it's just worth walking around in the Nocturne Alley area.
Couldn't agree more. So next up, we're going to quickly touch on the interactive wand experience that you'll find at the Ollivanders location in both parks. Both parks do this experience where a group of people will be taken into a separate area of Ollivanders. One person in the group, usually a young witch or wizard, will get chosen and have their wand pick them. Of course, you can purchase the wand or not after the experience, but the fun is the experience itself. The cast members do such a good job, and we definitely recommend experiencing this at least once. Quick note though, we definitely suggest doing this in Diagon Alley instead of Hogsmeade because they can only run one show at once in Hogsmeade, whereas they can actually do 3 shows at once in Diagon Alley, so this is going to move much quicker on that side.
Yeah, agreed 100%. Now, the fun part about these interactive wands is that you can find gold-colored medallions all over the Wizarding World. These are marked spots that show you a spell and the wrist or arm movement. And when you move your wand and utter the words, you're going to see magic happen right in front of you, right? So you don't have to remember where these are located. You can pick up a map when you make your purchase, which will show you the different areas and where you'll be able to test your magical chops. It's not a must, but again, it's a fun way to enhance your experience in the parks. And if you're a huge Harry Potter fan like we are, we say, why not? Some people like to build lightsabers at Savi's workshop. Some people like to cast spells in the Wizarding World. And some like to do both, and we totally get it. Fill your boots and have fun.
Absolutely. All right, next up, we're going to cover the shows and entertainment that you're going to be able to find around the Wizarding World throughout the day. So over on the Hogsmeade side at the Islands of Adventure, there's a small stage not far from the castle where you're going to be able to see the Tri-Wizard Spirit Rally, where you're going to see acrobatics from the Durmstrang students and the Beauxbaton students perform dance and gymnastics with ribbons. It's a short show, and you're going to be able to take photos with the performers afterwards. The show is quite short, so definitely worth a stop, especially if you're a big Harry Potter fan. You're going to love it. It happens every hour or so from mid-morning to late afternoon, so lots of opportunities to see it. And then on that same stage is the Frog Choir, which is a cast of Hogwarts students singing a cappella accompanied to the bass of the large frogs you're going to recognize from the franchise. This show is about 10 minutes long and has several show times throughout the day, starting late morning into early evening, about every hour or so.
Yeah, they leapfrog with the Triwizard Show,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
So leapfrog, no pun intended. Over on the Universal Studios Florida side, on a stage at the back of Carket Market area of Diagon Alley, you'll find Celestina Warbeck and the Banshees. This is a live musical show with original song titles from J.K. Rowling herself, like You Stole My Cauldron, But You Can't Have My Heart. The show is lively and includes audience participation, and there's a ton of references to the books and movies that fans will know and love. Even if you're not a fan, the music and choreography here are great and really well done. It's a stellar show, and we definitely suggest taking time out of your day to stop and give it a watch, right? It's really good. The show is just under 15 minutes long and happens every hour or so from late morning into the evening. And on the same stage, alternating with Celestina Warbeck and the Banshees, is the Tales of Beetle the Bard. This show has cast members retell one of two tales from Beetle the Bard, so the Fountain of Fair Fortune or the Tale of the Three Brothers. Both last around 10 to 15 minutes and use puppets to narrate the stories. Puppets aren't really doing it justice, right? Like these are next level and are really, really well done. Again, another solid show that you should consider taking time out of your day to catch. Shows will happen about every hour, mid-morning into the early evening. So I omitted times for these shows purposefully, okay? So because they're subject to change, so just check to see what the show times are during your visit and make sure that, you know, when they're happening, if you're wanting to catch one, that you're there when it's being put on, essentially.
Absolutely. Next up are the nighttime shows. So the nighttime show here is not on par with the nightly nighttime spectaculars you're going to find at Magic Kingdom, Epcot, and Hollywood Studios, but they're definitely worth checking out nonetheless. Up until recently, you can catch the nighttime lights at the Hogwarts Castle, but in June, it was replaced by a new castle projection show called Hogwarts Always. The new show features state-of-the-art projections, fireworks, and takes you through, quote, a magic journey through a school year at Hogwarts. The show happens select nights through August 25th. We haven't seen this, unfortunately, and we likely won't get to see it since our trip is in September. But during select nights in the fall during spooky season, the castle show is replaced by Dark Arts at Hogwarts Castle, and this show features Dementors, Death Eaters, and other dark creatures. Lord Voldemort makes an appearance in this show of projections and musical score. We also haven't seen this one, but we're hoping to catch it in September.
Yeah, agreed, 100%. And the last thing we're going to touch on is some fun things to keep your eye out for when you're visiting the Wizarding World. So on the Universal Florida side, before you enter into Diagon Alley, you're going to see the night bus parked outside on the street near the entrance. So fun fact, this bus is actually one of two actual prop buses that were used in the filming of Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, which is really cool.
Very cool.
The other is actually at the Warner Brothers studio tour in London, which, by the way, is an unreal experience. If you're a big Harry Potter fan, we highly suggest a visit here. We went to London. That was back in 2017. Yes. And we did the tour, and man, oh man, it did not disappoint.
It's everything from the movies.
Yeah, 100%.
In this studio tour.
It's unreal.
Insane. Yeah.
Anyway, here at the park, you can interact with the bus driver as well as the Shrunken Head, which will drop some humor, and it's fun to just have a quick chat with them. And while you can't go into the bus itself, you can walk around and peer inside and see some of the fun details. It's definitely worth checking out.
Absolutely.
Not far from here, you'll also see Grimmauld Place, and you can see number 12 and how it looks weathered when compared to the other row houses, right? You can walk right up to the door and take your photo with it, and keep your eyes peeled and when you're looking at the windows, because you may spot a cranky old house elf. If you know, you know. Yeah,
absolutely. So near the entrance to King's Cross, there's an iconic red phone booth, and you can actually walk into it and dial MAGIC or 62442 and listen for a special message from the Ministry of Magic. Very, very cool. And then inside Diagon Alley, some people find it hard to time their photo and video with the dragon on the top of Gringotts that's going to breathe fire. But again, it happens every 10 minutes. So for example, 1 o'clock, 1:10, 1:20, and then so on, except when there's very heavy winds for obviously safety reasons.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And then inside Nocturne Alley, in and around Borgin and Burke's, there's a ton of Easter eggs, and it's worth just spending time looking around and listening as you're going to notice some hidden details. Some fun things to look out for are the Hand of Glory that Harry gets his hand stuck in, the necklace that curses Katie Bell, Lupin's trunk that houses the boggart, the vanishing cabinet complete with a chirping bird, among many, many other things.
Over in the Hogsmeade area, again, don't sleep on the queue of Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. A fun thing you can do here is check with the cast members at the front of the attraction. When the park isn't too busy, if they have an available cast member, you can ask for a tour of the castle and they'll actually escort you inside and go over some of the lesser known facts and fun hidden details. Free guided tour, why not, right? Definitely worth asking. The worst thing they're going to say is, you know,
they
don't have anybody available. Yeah. So it's definitely worth checking. And with all that said, okay, we've barely scratched the surface here. There are so many hidden gems and details across the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. We can make an entire episode like literally on that alone.
Absolutely.
If you're a Harry Potter fan, we suggest saving a large portion, if not a full day, just exploring both sides of the land. Immerse yourself in the space, right? Enjoy the drinks, enjoy the food and the experiences. It's one of our favorite lands in the Orlando theme parks, and frankly, just one of our favorite places to spend time in, like anywhere in the world.
Absolutely. So true.
Like we said, right? It's so well executed and it rivals even the best lands in the Disney park. So it's a must do in our opinion.
With that said, thank you so much for taking time to stroll inside the Wizarding World of Harry Potter with us today. We hope you got some really good insights as to what you can find in the parks and what you may want to experience or prioritize during your trip.
If you haven't already, subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. And if you could drop us a rating and review, it would be greatly appreciated. It means so much to us to see your comments and feedback.
You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at Let's Go.to-Disney, as well as on our Facebook page, Let's Go to Disney, where we share more tips and fun too.
Have a great day and we'll see you real soon.